encoding and transcoding software, the stuff that didn't come with our operating system. There's all kinds of software out there. iSquint, Handbrake, well, Handbrake's free, but iSquint, Visual Hub, you know, Autodesk's Cleaner, Apple's own compressor. You're paying for codecs there. Media players, those little media players that are on the website and they say, oh, get the pro version for $30 and you'll get to do so much more. You know, there you're just buying privileges to use a certain codec for different reasons. And then they also give you a free version where you typically are fed some ads along with your content, but you get to play it, but you don't get to export it. You only get to watch the media. Obviously, there are ways around these problems and these incompatibilities. But to even understand what codec we're dealing with, it's a little bit of a detective story. We have to kind of do a little bit of research. So the weird thing is that file formats are not codecs. File formats are containers, 3 letters at the end of your file name, into which you or me, if we're the ones encoding the video, or the companies, if they're the ones encoding the video, into which they put a video that has been encoded with a certain codec. So when you see something that says it's a .mov, for example, you think, oh, it's a QuickTime movie. Okay, got it. Well, but what kind of QuickTime movie? .avi. Well, it's an audio-video file. Great. Well, what's in that AVI? And the same even goes for MP4. So you can never really just look at those last 3 letters and assume that you know what codec it is. You don't know what codec it is. You know what file format it's been put into. So to find out what codec we're really dealing with, the best tool for that I have found, which is cross-platform, it'll work on Mac, it'll work on Linux, it'll work on Windows, is a little thing called the VLC player at videoland.org. It's a really robust program. It'll actually you can even set it up as a video streamer. What I use it for typically is I'll open up a movie in my in VLC, and then in the I think it's in the View menu. There's a View Information, and that gives you this little box right here. That's that right there, and this tells you what streams are contained in the video. Because a video file isn't typically just one stream of data. It's your audio, it's your video, it's your time code, possibly your subtitle. There could be like 4 different streams of data all within one file. So the one that you're really concerned with is the video codec. And you probably can't see it from back there, but this one reveals that it's actually an FMP4, even though, as you can see right here, it's labeled .avi. So the codec that we would have to find like the decoder for our computer to read this file properly is an FMP4. So how do you get the codec, or rather the decoder ring, the secret decoder ring to read this video that you've got? Once you've found out what code they've used, what they're using in that video file to compress it and send it out to you. It is, in theory, fairly simple. You just go to the site of whoever owns that codec, find their module that they're offering to you, whether it's a free decoder or whether it's a free version of maybe a more robust decoder. Find that, install it to your computer, and typically it's a global change. It takes effect throughout your media players, through your editing software, in your browser, as a standalone player, you know, whatever they're offering. Obviously it's never that easy. Hopefully the codec provider, the person who's invented that codec, hopefully they offer that for your system, because they don't always. I think it's Xvid actually has kind of stopped support for Mac OS X lately. I mean, they just haven't updated it lately. It's not immediately easy to find. It might be DivX. It's either Xvid or DivX. You know, so you have to kind of hunt that down. Obviously, until very recently, there was no Flash player proper for Linux. So hopefully they're offering it for your OS, and hopefully they give it to you in a nice, easy to use, installable package, which not necessarily, sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. So you might have to just get that codec and then figure out where in your file system your little decoders are stored. So like in Mac OS 10, it would be in the library, the system library, in QuickTime, in the codec folder in QuickTime. And you put it there, and typically it becomes a global change after typically a log out and log back in. But like I say, once it's on there, typically it's a global change. Unless that company doesn't want you to be able to use it everywhere on your system. And why wouldn't they want you to do that? There's always a reason. It's called digital restriction management. So here we've got this little flow chart, which is probably way over technical, but this is the content that they're sending us, right? This is the latest episode of 24 that we've just downloaded from someplace. So they're streaming it to us, right? Because they're sending it from their server, whether it's the streaming server or not, they're sending us data over the internet, they're streaming that data to us. Once it arrives in our browser or wherever we're downloading it to, we get a choice sometimes. The company has a choice. Are they going to let us download that to disk, or are they going to restrict whether we can save it? Are we just going to be able to look at it in real player, which doesn't download to your disk, or do we actually get to keep that file? If not, that's great. They get a stream-only media player that they get to use, and they get to make you use that player for all their content. They can give you whatever kind of advertisements that they want. It's a really great system for controlling how you can use your media. If they're crazy enough to let you save it to the disk, something that Apple loves to do is restrict what you can do with that file once you've gotten it. So do you get to actually burn that to a DVD once you get it to a disk? And if so, how many times? Do you get to take it to your editing software and edit that? Maybe not. Do you get to put it on your iPod, your PSP, or your N800? And whatever else we come up with that we might want to do with our media. And you kind of think, well, why not? What's the big deal? Well, this is how the companies see it. It's a lot more complex. If they're letting you stream it, they're having to deal with streaming servers. Not a big deal for them. They've probably got all that figured out. They've got ads to pay for that. And then if they do stream it, they get ad revenue. They get they might be able to sell you a pro version of the player to maybe let you export it into some format that maybe will go onto your iPod or something like that. Now, if they let you burn it to DVD, then that's a big risk for them, because then they're not going to be able to make as much money on their DVD sales, maybe. If they let you edit it, what if you go and upload that, your edited version to YouTube or something? That's a big hit for them. Or you might put it on one of those BitTorrent sites that they hear about. And then if they let you put it on your iPod or your PSP or your N800, what happens to iTunes? iTunes could be threatened. Amazon could take a huge loss on their unboxed service. So it's a huge, it's just like they don't know what to do. And that's the maze of why codecs exist. It doesn't have to be that crazy. I mean, like I say, theoretically, it's kind of a good thing. Even though artists probably don't want it to happen, right now the reality is it does have to happen. We need to get our files to a reasonable size so that we can send them out over the internet to everyone's computer, because everyone wants it on their computer now. But even if it's not on the computer, we have to get it small enough to fit on that standard definition DVD until either HD DVD or Blu-ray hits. So it's got a useful function, but what is it? What happens during compression? And how do we as either content producers or content distributors, how do we how do we wrap our minds around what's going on during compression?